7 unusual deep-sea discoveries. HERACLION was a famous port city built on the Nile Delta during the 12th century BC. It was used as a major hub for transporting goods coming through the Mediterranean Sea. It was believed the city got its name from Heracles, the mythical son of Zeus and the gatekeeper of Olympus. Most of you might be aware of his Roman name though, Hercules. The city was superseded by Alexandria sometime in the 4th century BC and soon lost its place as a big trade port. The city sank around the year 200 due to liquefaction, meaning the land that it was built on eroded. For almost 2,000 years, HERACLION was forgotten by history until the French underwater archaeologist Frank Goddio found it during one of his expeditions in the year 2000. His discovery brought back enormous statues, priceless jewelry, and many hieroglyphic tablets. The tablets answered many questions about ancient trade routes and the politics between Greece and Egypt at the time. The largest of the statues found was a giant 11-foot, 6-ton statue of Hapi, who was the god of the annual flooding of the Nile. Seems kind of ironic now. And some of the jewelry found is believed to have belonged to old pharaohs that visited the city. HERACLION has a long and mythical history, with legends stating that Helen of Troy and Paris were hiding out there shortly before the Trojan War began. The operation to bring the lost artifacts back to shore is still ongoing, and with every inscription found, we can learn more about this amazing lost city. You can actually see all the amazing things found already at an exhibition called Sunken Cities, Egypt's Lost World, at the British Museum in London. QIANDAO Lake. QIANDAO Lake, or Thousand Island Lake, is a human-made project located in Yunnan County, Zhejiang Province, China. I know that information means nothing to you, so here is a map to help you out. The lake was artificially created after the completion of the Xinan River hydroelectric station in 1959. What the Chinese government forgot to mention at the time was that during the flooding, a city called Xicheng, or the Lion City, was completely submerged. It is incredible to note that the city was founded in AD 208 and has withstood the test of time and man. A team dispatched to explore the city reported that almost everything is completely intact, including 2-story houses with wooden stairs. The whole town is so well preserved, some researchers have even called it a time capsule. The reason for this underwater expedition was to make sure the city was in good enough condition for tourists. But as of right now, there is still no way any tourists can visit the Lion City. The QIANDAO Lake waters turned bloody in 1994 when 3 hijackers set a boat on fire. In total, 32 tourists from Taiwan perished, and the reputation of the area plummeted. On a side note, Lucky Buddha beer is brewed and bottled in the QIANDAO Lake, so if you have ever rubbed Buddha's green belly, you have drank a little part of this ancient underwater city. How cool is that? In 2014, scientists discovered more than 1,000 new species in the ocean. Well, 1,451 to be exact. It is great to know that even in this day and age, when people assume we know everything, there are incredible new discoveries almost weekly. Some of the more popular new species are the Indonesian Psychedelic Frogfish. Boy, that's a long name. Or the aptly named skeleton shrimp. The craziest part? Scientists say that at this discovery rate, it would take more than 360 years to identify every creature living in Earth's oceans. Our next stop on this underwater journey is known as the wickedest city in the world. Now, is this just some urban legend? Or was Port Royal Jamaica really the wickedest city in the world? There was no shortage of prostitutes, rum, and pirates. Or slave trade, or pretty much anything bad. And during the late 1600s, it was the second biggest city in the New World, only being surpassed by Boston. Now, the next part of the story takes a bit more to believe. On the sunny morning of June 7th, 1692, the area was hit with a massive earthquake, estimated at a 7.5 magnitude. The earthquake was so horrific that half of the city was gone within seconds. Instant liquefaction and the fact that Port Royal was partially built on loose sand were the main reasons more than 33 acres of the city disappeared. For centuries, people believed that what had happened to the town was divine retribution, and it became somewhat of a cautionary old wives' tale. During the 1950s, the British completely gave up on Port Royal, and most residents left with them. The city has withered away, but a lot of 17th century history lies under 40 feet of water. Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on how you see things, diving in the Port Royal area is prohibited without special access from the Jamaican government. Some of you might recall a certain rum by the name of Captain Morgan. It is named after one of the most famous privateers ever, Sir Henry Morgan. He was, at one point, the mayor of Port Royal. During the earthquake, his grave was taken by the sea, so maybe one day, someone can find his body. Until then, stay thirsty, my friends. Wait, that's the wrong brand. Never mind. The deepest dive. About half a mile away from the Stanley Cay Yacht Club in the Bahamas, wreckage of a suspected drug plane can be explored. But you have to prepare because, as you can see in this picture, the dive would be insane. Turns out, it is one of the easiest underwater plane wrecks to get to and explore. It is not to be confused with the Curtis C-46 plane wreck near Norman's Cay. That one was part of the Medellin cartel, and at some point, it made money for the most powerful drug lord ever, Pablo Escobar. On a side note, in case you had no idea, the Medellin cartel made at least $420 million per week and supplied 80% of the global market for cocaine. From the Bahamas, we get to travel all the way back to the Mediterranean Sea, this time to the coast of Greece. Pavlopetri is probably one of the oldest submerged cities in the world. There is no denying the sheer beauty of this underwater discovery. How old is it, really? About 5,000 years. It is one of the best preserved Bronze Age cities because after it was covered with water, it stayed undisturbed. The city found its way back to history books in 1967, when a team of archaeologists from Cambridge University, led by Nicholas Fleming, decided to follow a lead and dive in that location. In 2009, Pavlopetri became the first submerged town to be digitally surveyed in 3 dimensions using sonar mapping. Not much information is being released about upcoming dives because officials want to protect the site from tourists and sailors alike. Remember how Pavlopetri was really old? Well, Atlit Yam puts it to shame. Atlit Yam is an ancient town off the coast of Atlit in Israel. It is estimated to be around 9,000 years old, and it is one of the few examples of a pre-pottery Neolithic site. What does that even mean? It means that Atlit Yam is a remnant of the last part of the Stone Age, specifically the time between humans figuring out that farming is good and creating pottery. Now that wasn't so hard to get, was it? The town covers 47,000 square yards of underwater awesomeness. And possibly, one of the greatest finds is this human skeleton. They did find more than one skeleton, and after some testing, the skeletons of a woman and a child proved to be the earliest known cases of tuberculosis. Human bones were not the only ones that were preserved though. Researchers also found animal bones from wild species and some plant remains like wild grapes and poppy seeds. See you in the next video.